In a surprise announcement this morning, President Trump reversed the previous administration's order to admit transgendered individuals into the military. The president made the announcement on Twitter in the AM. He tweeted this: "After consultation with my generals and military experts, be advised the U.S. government will not accept nor allow transgendered individuals to serve in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with tremendous costs and medical disruption that transgender in the military would entail. Thank you." Democrats were not grateful for that. They quickly became very angry. Here's part of what they said.
"This disgusting ban will weaken our military and land that it defends.
Our nation is not safer when we sanction discrimination.
Because of President Trump's announcement, America will be less safe."
The President of the United States this morning announced he is blowing 15,000 holes in our military readiness.
It's undermining, I think, our national defense.
This disgusting action endangers the lives of American service members and makes our country less safe.
Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney represents New York in the House of Representatives, and he joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks a lot for coming on.
Bet.
So I understand why people don't like this, but to not like it and to claim that it makes our country less safe are two different things. How does this make our country less safe?
Well, how about SEAL Team 6?
Okay.
I think you'd agree they make our country more safe. So Kristen Beck, a member of SEAL Team 6, she's a transgender woman, 7 combat tours, earned the Bronze Star with Valor and a Purple Heart. She's done a hell of a lot more for our country than you and I ever will, and she made our country safer. That's the person we're going to remove from military service.
I don't think she served as a transgender SEAL, though.
No, but there are thousands of transgender service members serving honorably and meeting the tests, the high tests that the military expects of its service members. We should absolutely use the standard the president started with, which is keeping our country safe. And part of keeping our country safe is keeping good people in the military. These are good people.
Right. Well, transgenders have never been allowed to serve openly and to have their transitions paid for by the U.S. government. This is something that began in a gradual way with the Obama administration. This country's been around for almost 250 years, winning a bunch of wars. That's not a slight on any specific person. I'm merely skeptical at why this makes our country less safe. I don't actually think that you can show that. I think you're just mad about it, and you're using our national security to make your point.
Well, look, there are thousands of people serving honorably. We won a bunch of wars before we integrated the armed services with African Americans, and we won a bunch of wars without women serving. But we have an enormous number of talented, diverse people serving. We wouldn't believe we were more safe because we excluded whole groups of Americans. And look, the point is that right now, thousands of transgender service members are serving with distinction. And there's not a reason on earth that you would kick them out of the military except for prejudice, and that's wrong.
Well, that's just, that's just a silly thing to say. I mean, this is a legitimate debate, and for you to say anyone who doesn't agree with you is a bigot. I mean, there's a massive call. Wait, hold on, slow down.
Well, I didn't say that,
yes,
but
you did.
I said that the reason would be
you did. You said
prejudice.
The only reason is prejudice.
Right.
In other words, if you disagree with me, being a holy man, you're a bad person. My only point is there are two sides to this. There's a cost to this. There are difficulties integrating people. There are questions about what it means to be transgender. These are real adult questions, and you're blowing them off by describing anyone who doesn't agree with you as motivated by prejudice, and that's childish.
What is the reason for taking members of the military who are serving now, thousands of them, with distinction, without a problem, and kicking them out on this basis? What would that reason be?
Well, I mean, the reason is articulated by the people who oppose this is that it's expensive to pay for the physical transition, the medical transition from one sex to the other. And that paying that at a time when the military is scrambling for funds is a distraction from the core mission, which is winning wars.
Right. Well,
the onus is on you, since the U.S. military has never had this policy in its history, to show that paying for sex change operations is going to somehow make us more likely to beat, I don't know, Al-Qaeda.
No, excuse me. We have that policy now, and we've had more than a year to see how it works, and there hasn't been any diminishment of readiness or any disruption of any kind. And what we know is men like Shane Ortega, another transgender service member, who conducted hundreds of missions in Afghanistan and Iraq, multiple combat tours.
As a transgender person? No, that's not true.
Yes, as a matter of fact. And there are right now people like Riley Dosh, a cadet, who just graduated from the military academy.
What you're engaging in is demagoguery. I'm asking you bigger, broader questions, which is it an actual concern that the Pentagon would have to pay for sex change operations? Do you think that's a valid military expense?
Well, would you
Do you
say,
think these are real questions about how to integrate people in close quarters living who haven't fully transitioned? To blow those off as like bigotry is just wrong.
Well, I think to be fair, we've spent years studying this. Rand Commission did a big report on this.
We haven't spent
and
years
it was after
studying this.
Well, actually, the Obama administration did exactly that.
This
and
is brand new.
The Rand Corporation study looked at this in detail before they changed the policy. We now have a year of experience. And by the way, under your argument, you could also say, you know, women may get pregnant and they may incur additional medical costs. So we shouldn't allow women to serve in the military.
But I would say,
I think what we would say,
first of all, I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing something very specific. So don't liken it to another argument. Second, any question that bears on military readiness is a direct question. I'm a patriotic person. I would love to serve the country. I'm too old. It takes me 27 minutes to run 5K. I'm not qualified. So the question is not what's empowering for me, it's what's good for the national defense. And that's not the lens through which you're looking at this.
But Kristen Beck is qualified and performed heroically on SEAL Team 6.
Look, I'm not attacking Kristen Beck. I'm merely saying Kristen Beck was not.
Excuse me, you are directly attacking.
You know what? I think it's very frustrating speaking with ideologues like you because everything you disagree with is an attack on someone.
Tucker, you are.
And I am not attacking Kristen Beck.
You are defending a policy that would remove a decorated member of SEAL Team 6 from the United States military. If that's not an attack, sir, I don't know what is.
You are an extremist posing as a rational person. Well, I'm trying to have a rational debate, and you're telling me I'm attacking a Navy SEAL, which I'm emphatically not doing. Well, and you should be ashamed for using such a low tactic in what I'm trying to make a rational conversation.
It is a fact that
I'm
a woman
attacking
named Kristen Beck would not be allowed to have performed her service
as a transgender
which
person
also means
in combat.
that taxpayers incurred no health care costs associated with that, which is also a fact that is at play here. The fact of the matter
is why we can't solve problems, because people who yes, it is. Because what you're doing is spewing propaganda and saying, no, because I'm asking honest questions, and you're throwing back dumb propaganda in my face and calling me a bigot.
I think you have to own the implications of the position you support. And it would mean that people who are serving with distinction are being separated from the military for an arbitrary reason.
This is why.
And it's wrong.
Okay, I'll tell you why. This is why the Pentagon didn't announce it themselves today. Because this policy has very limited support in the Pentagon, but they're afraid because of demagogues like you that they're going to be attacked for saying what is obvious, which is the point of the military is to win wars. And saying that will get people like you to call them bigots, so they don't want to say it.
That's my standard.
Right.
We want a military that's going to win wars, and the people who are serving with distinction are part of that. And by the way, they're earning those benefits that we're providing to them.
Right.
They're earning it by putting their lives on the line. And they're doing more than you and I ever will to protect our country. And before we go after them,
stop your demagoguery. I've had enough.
I think you should own
Thanks, Congressman.